Hey guys, it's Matt.
And Berg.
We're here on the streets and we're asking people if white privilege still exists. This is what they had to
Does it
say.
exist in our society? Because the obvious answer is, if you just take a look at the criminal justice system for one, black and brown people as well are definitely discriminated against, as far as two people can have the same crime and a totally different sentence for whatever reason. And as someone who has a white mother and a black father, I have two totally different perspectives from both sides of my family. They're nothing alike. So I can just say the black side of my family has had a far different experience amongst society than the white side.
From where I come from Patterson, and to many people it's considered the ghetto. And then you see a lot of people that are not a minority. They're more successful than people like us and that come from the ghetto, and we hardly get that chance. Whereas people who are not of our color or ethnicity, they get a way better opportunity to be like, as far as better colleges, better career opportunities, where we wouldn't have the privilege.
Do you think that colleges are more susceptible to getting a person of color into their college, or a white person into college? A person of Caucasian descent?
I would say Caucasian. Why? I guess, like I said, where I come from, it's you don't see a lot of people getting accepted to those main colleges that people other than color, like minority people, don't get the privilege of going to. So it's just something
college?
Yeah, I did. I went to college for a year and a half, but just college wasn't my thing personally. But as far as that, like, these are some of the things that you can like clearly see. It's not like something that you can go off by ear, where people are saying, oh, there's a race issue. No, it's something that you can visibly see going on.
I believe that white privilege does exist in certain areas, such as more urban communities. I do believe that they exist. A lot of people that are, how do I put it, or don't have the same, like the same ability to, pay bills and do all of that, or mostly black people, Hispanic people, like minorities, and most of the time they're put on a back burner rather than Caucasian people. So I do believe that it exists only in certain areas. Like, for example, I live in the South right now and it's like a big deal, but when you come to the North, it's more diverse. So that's how I feel about it. It's more so up here, people are treated the same, but in the South, it's kind of like strictly, whites pretty much get the okay for everything rather than black people. For an example, if you look at the election, it was just basically a whole bunch of Republicans, and Republicans are known for being the stereotypical racist white people. So that's kind of how it is. For an example, like in the South, it's okay to be racist. Like, it's not even looked down as much as it is up here. You get what I'm saying? Like, up here, it's more of a big thing. In the South, people don't realize it's kind of like the norm. Like, it's okay for, a white person to kind of disrespect the minority, and, it be just walked over.
Do you find that Caucasian people down south are more willing to be openly racist than up here?
Definitely. That's like the same thing as if I was able to steal from a store 10 times, why would I stop stealing? You know what I mean? Like, racism started in the South, and it's just like, being with Trump in the office, it's more of a popular thing now. It's more norm. It's like, it's okay to say it. Like, if my president is being racist, why is it a big deal that, I'm being racist?
Do you think it's a systemic issue, or do you think it's a cultural issue?
Definitely a cultural issue. I feel like at the end of the day, we're in 2019, so there should be nobody should see color. It should just be, everybody should be treated as equal. Like, at this point, we have African American people that, like, for example, I don't know if you've seen a Kylie Jenner thing. Kylie Jenner is a Caucasian woman, but somebody has her up as the highest paid cosmetic person to do cosmetics, when it's actually a black woman. So you see what I'm saying here? Like, it's kind of like, it's a racism thing. It's definitely a culture thing, but yet you have Kylie Jenner still a black woman. definitely. It's okay for white people to be black, but it's not okay for black people to be black. That's
So
not
I obviously see a lot of discrimination in my workplace. You know, we have a melting pot of people, but I have noticed more times than not that white people get the jobs over colored people. So
Do you think it's based on qualifications, or you just think that it's basically skin color alone?
I don't want to say that it's skin color alone, because there are certain qualifications that you do need to have, you know, in the industry and things like that. But I do think that the color of your skin is a big factor in whether you're going to get the job.
In my opinion, there definitely seems to be an advantage somewhat towards the gentle persecution and attack on whites, because I think there's kind of a systematic like push against every middle class and below person's necks, and like the upper middle class too, like the people earning like 150, you know, people who still have to show up to work to actually cut their pay. So that's a pretty hard question. If white privilege exists, I would have to say yes, it does, but it's not for every white person. And it seems to be a thing that's expanding in power, but decreasing in availability to the numbers, for sure. I guess that's that.
Do you think it's still a growing issue? Like, do you think it's going to be cut down? Do you think it's going to continue to grow?
I think for the people who really hold it and the people who have taken advantage of it and have had access to it, I think it's definitely going to increase in what they can do for themselves. And it's gonna, that pressure of those same people who have the power, who are able to use it and able to grant others that ability, that fist that's coming down, it's gonna also increase on the number of people who are, you know, not affected by the white privilege, people who, you know, wrap up in the court system and have charge after charge and look like a fool. You know, there's plenty of like the trailer trash type white person. There's definitely a whole lot of there's quite a big bubble that's going to pop in terms of, again, the power and what the power could do for those who have it, and the oppression and the fight to really have to rise above with such downward pressure. That's also going to increase. That's what I think.
All right, hey guys, it's Matt.
And Merg.
Once again. So as you just saw, we just saw that whole video with, you know, we went to the streets and we asked these people if white privilege is still going on today. And as you saw, we asked a variety of people. I just wanted to let the viewers know that the people that were there that day, we went to a mall in our city. People that were there that day and that were willing to answer this question were mainly people of color. We were only able to get one person that was of Caucasian descent.
A white guy. We got a white guy.
Yeah, one of his kind.
And we said, like, we were trying to find white people, but we couldn't find a white guy.
Yeah, and we did ask a couple white people, and they were actually afraid to say their answers, which is a lot about our society.
The lady we asked was not American either, so she was about to answer, and then she like talked to her partner, well, another woman, not partner, but
she's not a lesbian for all we know.
I'm assuming. But she talked to her in the other language, and then she's like, actually, no, I'm good. I don't want it. And we were like, all right, no problem. So it's not like white people are turning it down off left and right. Although,
but it was really like we tried to
kid.
make people comfortable, you know, having a person of color and a person who was white there to hear these people's answers, so that way they felt a little bit more comfortable. So it didn't seem as if, you know,
there was an agenda.
Any type of, you know, hidden agenda that we were coming after. The main thing was to make people feel comfortable while asking this question. So pretty much what we took away is my personal belief is that white privilege does exist in our society. I don't have the statistics in front of me, but you see it, and you see it like, for me personally, I clearly don't look white. Going to the airport for me is a different experience. If this guy were to go to the airport, he'd walk through most likely with flying colors. Getting pulled over by a cop. You know, the whole criminal justice system has their ups and downs, and they have their, you know, hiccups. But for the most part, I do think white privilege is prevalent in our society in certain cases. Not all cases, but certain cases, it is there.
So that's just leaving yourself with wiggle room.
Which is good to have.
Yeah. I don't agree that it exists. the one thing I will say, I'll concede before I continue, is that I do believe individual acts of racism still exist in the world. I don't think it's only one way, though. I think it's every which way. White people to black people to white people, Asian people to black people, yada, yada, yada. So I think, obviously, you'd be naive to think racism doesn't exist anymore, but I don't think at all systematic racism exists. And if it does, they would be able to be sued, and the person would make so much money off of that. It's like,
but it's
I
also
hope
hard to
I would
prove.
wish it would happen to me if I were a minority. I'd be like, let me have that opportunity.
But it's hard to prove. How do you get something that happens to you, besides being on camera, towards prosecution? You know, like, it's hard to take a quote unquote emotion and take it to court. You know what I mean? Like,
No, I know what you mean.
It's hard to take, like, unless it's filmed or, you know, blatantly in front of you, like, there's some type of physical evidence. It's gonna happen regardless, in the society that we live in. But there's just no physical evidence. It's just what you see, what's going on, and that's it.
A lot of it is feeling versus fact. The facts are, the numbers, they point to white privilege not really existing, because there's so many disparities in the way that people would view things. Criminal justice, a lot of upper people, say in Baltimore, a lot of the higher officers were black, and these are places where people claim racism, and a lot of the politicians there, it's all headed by Democrats, which is supposed to be the least racist party. It's just,
well, for me, I don't want to bring up the cases where, you know, people were being reprimanded, because for me personally, I think that you have to listen to what an officer tells you, or else there's consequences. I want to bring up, like, case, not like, you know, like the I Can't Breathe case, or Mrs. Black's case. If an officer tells you to do something, you're supposed to listen. And for them to protect themselves in that case, they're going to have to, you know, draw a weapon or whatever it may be. I do understand that, you know, in certain cases, people who are in uniform take it across the line at certain times. I can't deny that. You know, there are certain cases, just like there are certain cases where white privilege exists.
that, you could say that, but point it out. Like, I could tell you, white people are shot more often by cops. Black cops are more likely to shoot a black guy 3.3 times more. There's just numbers that I could just pull out that just openly dismiss any possible thought of white privilege in the world. And I think I think more of what we should be talking about right now, rather than like what I kind of started with getting into, like, the stats and everything, is more of why these people think this way.
There are some, you know, I can't fully agree, like, although they did say what they said in the video. You know, like, for instance, we had that one woman that said, you know, racism started in the South. That's not really true. In my opinion, racism was everywhere at one point, you know.
Racism's...
And it's still going on today.
Racism's like a weird thing. It's like... today it definitely exists today, but it's definitely not what it once was, both ways. Like, and I'm not saying white to black. When I say racism, I don't just mean one way. I mean every way. And I think it's also, and I've used this metaphor before, many people do, is it's like the top of the ocean. It's like, that's how deep racism is. I think most places nowadays, obviously you have the alt-right and then the radical left, which are like people that just hate people based on skin color. But more often than not, if you're a little racist and you're on whichever spectrum, it's, once you start talking to the person, you're like, you break through that. It's not deep, the racism that runs through people's blood anymore. And so I think that to say that racism started in the South is just, it's like saying that it's rooted there and it's going to stay there no matter what. And I don't think that's the case.
It obviously trickled down. It trickled up, rather. I would say, you know, it came to the north, it came to the west, it came to the east. It's everywhere. You see it everywhere, and it's continuing to happen.